Okay, we're here with Jason from Trackingpoint. He's going to talk about their new scope system.
So what we have here is a precision-guided firearm. It's more than just a scope. It's actually an integrated firearm, ammunition, and networked tracking scope, guided trigger, and a tag button. So we have a number of pieces of hardware here when we actually put a precision-guided firearm together. The way this works is a user tags his target with this tag button. What that does is it sets off a series of calculations that go on in this network tracking scope. You have your laser rangefinders, you have your temperature and pressure sensors, and you have an automatic ballistic calculator and a tracking engine in here, all feeding into a heads-up display. So essentially the user locks onto his target, it'll track it and persistently as it moves, and it'll present him a firing solution that he can then use to actually hit his target at long range. The other big benefit of this system is it streams video. It's got a Wi-Fi server in it, so you can actually stream video using an app to a phone or a tablet, and you records every shot sequence from tag to shot to 15 seconds after shot, so you can prove that you made that 854-yard shot on an elk or that 1,000-yard shot on a target. So this model itself is a .338 Lapua Magnum. It's got an AIX chassis. It's made by Surgeon Rifles, and we fire a 300 grain some Sierra Match King projectile in it, loaded by Barnes bullets. So this is the network tracking scope. The guided trigger, the way that works is you squeeze and hold the trigger. Once you have your firing solution in your tag, you bring your firing solution onto your tag, and when those two are optimally aligned, the round will release. What that does is it eliminates a lot of the human jitter and the firing position things that you have to be able to do at long range, so you don't, a small, being off a little bit at long range means you're going to be off a lot.
Okay. We got a chance to shoot a couple of rounds through the system yesterday out at the range, and one thing I noticed is that you have to tag the target each and every time before you're able to fire again. Will there be any future upgrades that will allow you to put multiple hits on the same target?
So we're looking at, a lot of what we're doing is all about software. So we're looking at an upgrade that will allow you to do what we call competition mode, which basically means you can re-tag the exact same spot every time to truly get a measure of the accuracy of the system. It'll actually go back and look at where you tagged and look at that frame and pick that same spot, so you can get a true group size. I think that's what you're referring to.
Yep.
We're also looking at, if we expand in other types of actions, we may be able to do multi-tag, where you can tag multiple targets and keep live ballistic solutions for each one. And as you get close to that particular one, you'll be able to actually engage that one, engage targets in series.
Okay.
There's other apps in the pipeline to be able to score prey, to be able to actually overlay vital organs on prey, have the computer recognize that it's a hog, and be able to tell you where the heart and lungs are. So there's a lot of potential here from a software perspective.
Very nice. Right now, with this current system that you've got, what is the max range on it?
This system is 1,200 yards, is the TTX range, which that's the longest that we can take all the ballistic variables, everything from cant to inclination to Magnus effect, Coriolis effect, and we can tell the user he's going to be subbing him away, and that his chances of hitting are going to go way up from where they are today.
Okay. If I had a target that appeared, say, 1,600 yards, and I tried to engage it, what's the system just going to do?
It's not going to tag it,
okay.
So it'll say max TTX range exceeded, because truly it's a closed loop system, and this whole thing has been profiled. The gun, the ammo, and the network tracking scope together. We've shot a lot of rounds over a series, and we've shot a lot of rounds over a life cycle. We've done a Doppler drag coefficients, Doppler radar, to get true drag readings. So there's not a lot of places we can do that to 2,000 or to get into transonic and subsonic. So we capped it, voluntarily at 1,200 and make sure we could deliver, the best value proposition to the customer.
Okay. That's a great system. I know a lot of guys, we posted some pictures of this yesterday. A lot of guys had some questions about the trigger. Now I understand when we used it yesterday, once we tagged it and we depress the trigger, we keep the trigger pressed, and when the reticle crosses over the point that you tag, the rifle automatically fires. Now, I didn't actually try this out at the range, but I would assume at any point in time when you release the trigger, it cancels the firing process. Yes. And the rifle no longer fires.
So if you have armed, we call it arming the system, because the gun doesn't automatically fire. The shooter is in the loop, and he is consciously saying, "I want to shoot at that target." That is when he arms the system. He squeezes and holds. What that does is it takes out human jitter. He doesn't have to time it. He won't be able to jerk it. It basically takes all that out and it arms the system. At any time he wants to disarm, he lets the trigger go. It goes back to being a blue X. If he wants to erase the tag, he hits the tag button, erases the tag. So that shooter is always in control of what's going on. He's bringing the reticle onto that tag to make that shot. He's consciously making it. We're just helping him make it as perfectly as he can.
Very nice. Kind kind of takes the possibility of jerking or flinching out of the whole
It does. I
proposition,
mean,
doesn't it?
the three major reasons people miss are they don't estimate range properly, they don't estimate environmental factors properly, and long-range factors like spin drift, Magnus, and Coriolis. I mean, I couldn't tell you the formula for Coriolis, and I'm not going to write it on my arm with a Sharpie like a lot of long-range people do. How would I do that? We take into account a lot of those factors, and we take out human jitter. We have guys that don't have good firing positions. You got guys that are getting a little bit older. They got bifocals, and they got their hands shake. They can still use this system to take game or to hit targets at long range.
So basically, the only thing the shooter really needs to concern himself with this system is making an accurate wind call.
He needs to make an accurate wind call, and he needs to tag what he wants to hit. I mean, there is a certain ethics behind the kill zone that he wants to tackle. When we went overseas, and we were doing a lot of streaming video with the professional hunters when we were doing this on safari, one of our big deals was the professional hunters loved it because they could see where we were tagging and say, no, tag 3 more inches to the right and you're really going to get a high probability heart and lung shot, which is an ethical kill. And if you watch a lot of our videos, we shot a lot of animals at long range, and when we harvested them, they would go right down because we were able to make ethical long-range shots. And I know there's a lot of controversy about long-range hunting and people's abilities to hit things properly at long range. That's a big concern of ours too. I mean, we're a good steward of the hunting community. We want to make sure we're putting a system in people's hands that is capable of making those kinds of shots.
Okay. Water resistance to the system. If it starts pouring down rain, am I going to worry about anything?
It's rated up to an IP65 standard, which that means is you can spray water, heavy rain, you cannot submerge it. You can't go swimming with it, but you can be out in heavy rain with it, you can be out in heavy fog with it, and if it's off and you put a bullet in it and pull the trigger, it's still a gun. It's still going to fire just like a gun fires.
Okay.
We can never forget that it's a firearm. All the safety rules apply, but on all environmentals, and I'm a big believer in test it in the lab, test it on the range, and then go test it on the hunt. Every single one of these guns has been on a hunt, at long range, at altitude, in temperature. Because when my engineers tell me the temperature and pressure sensors are working and relative humidity, I say, great. I'm going to zero it in Texas. I'm going to fly to Utah. I'm going to go up to 12,000 feet, and I'm going to shoot up there. And that's what I did, because I wanted to make sure that when all the readings were working together, I wasn't getting some weird thing going on in the inertial measurement unit.
Okay. Price point on the system. What's the most expensive? What's the least expensive?
This one's the most expensive. It retails for $22,500. It comes with 200 rounds in the box, an iPad mini with the apps, all the accessories and batteries and chargers and everything that you would need. The least expensive one is a 300 Win Mag. It's $17,500. It has a 22-inch barrel and a max TTX range of 750. So we have TTX ranges of 750, 1,000, and 1,200, and we have price points of 17,500, 20,000, and 22,500.
Okay. If I had a viewer that wanted one today, what's the process for ordering one, and how long does it take to get it?
He can go on Trackingpoint.com. Our site is up, has all this information on it, and you can place an order right there. We're consumer direct right now. We're going to talk to a lot of dealers this year, I imagine, but early on we wanted to make sure that we were as hands-on as possible, teaching the people how to use it and everything like that. So Trackingpoint.com, or they can call 512-222-0501, and people will be able to take their order. I know some people don't like to use the internet. And when they'll get it right now, we have a pretty substantial back order position that we got this fall as we started shooting guns. So right now, we start shipping in April, May. The first ones, if you were to buy right now, would probably be coming in June, July.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Jason.
sir.